Again, we don't ship when everything is finished. In fact, most likely, we won't ever get to a point where everything on the backlog is finished. So hopefully we'll be shipping at the end of every sprint. So we need to make sure that the most important features are prioritized so they get done first. Prioritization and then the course correction that comes from reprioritizations, that right there, again, another key concept inside of Scrum. Now, in order to be able to prioritize correctly, the product owner has to be able to make decisions on how that product will function and what it will look like. Or said another way, the product owner has to have a vested interest in the end result of this piece of software. The success or failure of this piece of software must directly affect the product owner. Next, there's the Scrum Master. Now, the Scrum Master has two roles. First is to make sure the team follows Scrum best practices. And second is to protect the team, the Scrum team, from outside interference. You ever get that high-level exec that walks up to a dev directly and tells them, I need you to add this feature immediately, right? And of course, this messes up everything from the planning to the scheduling, so on and so forth. It's the job of the Scrum Master to protect their team from people like the high-level exec. They need to be able to tell them, nope, you don't get to do that. You can't drop something on us mid-sprint. Put it on the backlog, you can rank it really high, and we can tackle it next sprint. Finally, there's a dev team. This team, it needs to be cross-functional. When there's someone on your team, you need to have people on your team that can do whatever, whenever that needs to be done for the project. And the more cross-functional your team is, the better it is. Now, I know in an ideal world, every person on the team can pick up any work on the backlog and just get it done. In reality, most people are not 100% full stack, right? But you just need to make sure there are team members that can cover tasks, the different types of tasks. However, we do strive to be cross-functional. So sure, we do each have our own areas of specialty, but don't let that stop us from grabbing tasks, learning, and growing. Let me give you an example. I was once on a project where I finished up all my tasks, and I'm a back-end dev. The only remaining work in the backlog was some crazy SQL query. Now, I do know SQL, but I'm really kind of good enough at it to be really dangerous, right? That's the level that I'm at. So yes, I did pick up that task, but I also pinged my teammate, who is an expert at SQL, and I asked them to pair with me. Because now they can make sure I'm not doing anything crazy or wrong, and I can also learn from them. This will help me ramp me up. It will upskill me on my SQL skills. All right, finally, these Scrum teams, they should be self-organizing. No one needs to direct a Scrum team on how to do the work, what they need to do, so on and so forth. They can figure that type of stuff out for themselves. All right, writing software, it is like a three-legged stool. You can have quality, you can have a date you're done, and you can have features. And guess what? You can only move two of those things, right? And in a software project, quality is not negotiable. You cannot skimp on quality. So what that means is if you want more features, you must move the delivery date out. And if you can't move the delivery date, you're going to have to reprioritize the features that you're going to ship with. It is that simple, and there are no exceptions to this. Also, when you're planning, estimates, they're not guarantees. And although the more you do it, the better you do get at it. So estimates, they've always been a bit fuzzy, but to help with your estimates, here are my rules. I want to break down all of my work into 4-hour chunks. Why 4 hours? First of all, it's a lot more accurate. I'm pretty good at estimating things within 4 hours. I'm pretty good at estimating even a day's worth of work. 2 days of work? Yeah. More than 2? All right, more than 2, I'm starting to guess. Now, my go-to estimate, if you ask me how long it will take to do something, I'm always going to say 2 weeks. Why 2 weeks? Because I think I can write just about anything in 2 weeks. I can probably write an entire OS in 2 weeks. But to be really accurate, I'm only good to about a day or two. And I've been doing this for over 20 years. All right, so next, if we break down a user story into 4-hour chunks, there's now a possibility that instead of just one person spending 3 days working on this can be split up into a lot of small tasks, and my team can work on it in parallel, which means we can potentially knock this user story out much faster. Also, with much finer grained tasks, it is so much easier to track progress. So if I just have a task that's 2 weeks long, when I look at